Hello, my friends. I don't know if you know this about me. It depends how much you've maybe listened to the podcast, but I love perfume, and I got really interested in making perfume last year. I even went to a few different workshops to learn more about it. So happy that I learned what I learned, but I kind of came into it not as an obsessive perfume user, like many people that I met at the workshops that I went to. I actually was someone that just stumbled into a candle making and perfume making workshop in London, just kind of an afternoon kind of fun thing to do and hopefully meet new people. Though I didn't make any new friends those trips, I did end up discovering that I made a scent I absolutely loved, so much that I wanted to learn more. So as I kept smelling my scent and then learning more about the perfume world, then I found the teacher that I mentioned in the countryside and started to learn a lot. And it was such a fun thing. And though I haven't done anything with it professionally so far, I thought I'd share what I've then realized. I'm just an intuitive perfumist kind of person. No means by any training, but just kind of intuitively. So although you may know much more than I even might know, depending on your background with perfume, if you're someone like me that didn't really think about it much before, but now that I have thought about it, I found this intuitive way of doing perfume so fun that I wanted to share it with you in case it inspires you to try it yourself. So let me just share completely, even though I do have a lot of the basics and knowledge now about different perfume families and different styles of perfumes, what I've realized is that I like layering perfumes. And here's what I have found practically just from my own real life experience as someone that maybe would make a perfume line in the future. And even if I did do that, I have to say, I really like this approach of layering the perfumes in the first place. So even if I did do it, I would do it as layering perfumes. And I actually do my own here. So I'll show you. This is my little perfume tray. Not too many perfumes. I know some people have tons of perfumes, but I was never somebody that has tons of perfumes. What I prefer personally is to allow each perfume to be a moment in my life. I know some people, like my friend Natalie, have a signature scent she's had for 20 years. Calvin Klein, it's just hard for her to find now as it's been so old. I don't think it's still produced the way that it used to be. So she's trying to keep her classic. And I'm someone that likes to think of them in chapters of life. So when I smell a perfume again that I used last year, my mind will immediately go back to the memories of my growth in that period of my life. So I'm just someone that likes to transition through perfumes. But in the meantime of doing that transitional style of perfume living and enjoying, I also like to layer them. So I thought I'd share, like I said, you could either make a signature version, or it is also very fun because it allows you to scent yourself each day according to your mood and the seasons thereof. So let me tell you. So basically what I figured out, and these are just some of the ones I have, is that indie perfume makers and inexpensive perfume makers, not to say you go to the drugstore and get the cheapest thing on the market, that's not what I'm talking about, but like indie or inexpensive. So for example, what I mean by inexpensive, Beauty Pie. Beauty Pie is a really great beauty company. I have a membership to their platform and they do perfumes. They're like 30 pounds of perfume. Pretty good size, but not very expensive. And what I find with these kind of perfumes, it's still good quality, but just not as complex as, let's say, Chanel or anything you would find in the airport, basically, when you go through the duty free. Any of those kind of perfumes are big perfume houses, Tom Ford, Chanel, those kind of brands. They're gonna do a very, like with 100 ingredients inside of them, a very complex, in most cases, very layered scent. And so you don't really need to add anything to those Chanel No. 5s or any of those really high tier. And if those are your kind of perfumes, that's wonderful. It's just not really, they've never struck me and my joy factor as high as doing my approach I'm about to share. So what I do is I like to have some inexpensive perfumes or indie perfumes. So you can go expensive, but just go independent in terms of the maker. So this is Perfumer H. This is a perfume that I actually did a day workshop with them too, one-on-one, just to learn more from how they do their perfume making here in London. This is called Rose from Perfumer H. It has a very simple profile. It's powdery and it's rose. It has more layers to it, but it's not that complex like Chanel or Tom Ford or any of Chloe or whatever you would think of like that. This is a simpler scent. I also love Joram Studios in Scotland. They're independent and they make beautiful scents, but they're simpler. And what I find when I get this kind of scent, like Perfumer H or Joram Studio, is layering them is where the magic is at. So I started going intuitively to Joram Studio in Edinburgh, layering different scents that they had and put 2 or 3 together and would make a completely more complete kind of sense of a flavor profile or a scent profile. And even like the people were like, that is good, or that's exactly what the owner does. So it was very fun to just go kind of add layers and context. So this one is one of my favorites to use for working out and in the summer months. This is Cosmos. It's got a very kind of incensey, spiritual cedar vibe to it, and it's very light and again, very simple. So I really like whether they're inexpensive scents or they're independent scents. I also have right now Ex Nihilo. I have 2 samples of Ex Nihilo, and this one's called Spiky Muse. It is a rose scent with a really sharp note, a really, really sharp green note. It smells literally like you went to the florist and they just cut all the stems off of all of the roses. So it's rose petal, but really the greenness of, it smells like the cutness of the green part of your rose, the spikes of the rose. And then this one is called Fleur Narcotique. And it's just a more florally, tuberose kind of scent, neroli, jasmine, that kind of scent. But either way, these are all simple. And what you do then, once you have your independent or inexpensive but nice scents, is you layer them together. Like I said, I don't think it works very well with a Chanel or anything too complex, but you could take, for example, the Spiky Muse and layer it with amber. Especially amber. I really liked having amber for the winter. It's cozy. It's got this very kind of gourmandy vanilla. It's just cozy vibes. So I can put it with rose, and I did this all winter. My combination was the powdery rose and then this kind of cozy amber, and it felt very kind of like be by the fire kind of in combination. Love the scent for rose, but I also loved making it the winter rose. You could also then take, for the summer, I bought a new one, which I haven't used yet, called Vanilla New. And Vanilla New is gonna give me that little bit of depth and complexity that this one has, but not feel quite as wintry. So still kind of sweet, but not too sweet, and vanilla. So I just want to say, and like this one, this working out or cedar spiritual one, is really nice to pair. When I go to the gym, I'll put this on with this. And by the way, if you don't actually want, and if you're someone that's like, ooh, I don't want to have all these chemicals in my body, but you actually still have perfume in your house, if you're trying to have less absorption of perfume into your skin, you could also just spray it closer just to the clothes and kind of around your neck rather than directly onto your skin itself only. So that's just a top tip if you want to do that. And for those that are naturalists and want to have essential oils, the great news about real essential natural perfumes is that the actual notes themselves, unlike the synthetic versions, which are much more mono note, they're kind of more one note in most cases, knowing what the ingredients are like now that I've taken all the classes and trainings. You need more ingredients to make more complex flavor when you're going with synthetics. But when you're going with naturals, then you're going to get a much more robust and complex just by the nature of the fact that it is from nature. There's so many notes and complexities even in a single ingredient. So if you are someone who wants to stay natural, you can layer just a few different essential oils and create a very complex fragrance, or accord as they call them. So there you have it, my friends. That is how I like to intuitively blend. I try to usually take a floral with something that then epitomizes the season. So since I like florals, but then I think, am I gonna go cozy with the amber for the cozy weather, or am I going to go, you know, kind of light and fresh for the gym or for the summer months, or am I going to do something a little bit with more depth, slightly, but also keeping it light for the season ahead? So something to try. You can also see if you have any perfumes at home that you want to layer together. It's just a nice experimentation. It doesn't last very long, so the good news is if you don't like what you made, you can always let it go. Or my new idea, I haven't done it yet, but I'll just leave you with this, is to take an atomizer and actually start to find a blend that I like and then blend them into an atomizer to make my own signature perfume that I could travel with, for example, without having to bring multiple perfume vials. And you kind of make your own scents that way. So I haven't tried it yet, but that's something on my radar as well. Until next time, may something wonderful happen to you today.